Soundstripe.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Devontae Colonel, and welcome to another episode of the Inspired Challenge Podcast. On today's episode, we are at day number 28 when it comes to 30 days of live streaming. So give me a little... You know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. We haven't dropped the ball. There's been many 12 a.m. stay-ups, many 2:30 a.m. stay-ups. We still rocking 4 hours of sleep. Let's go, gang. All right. Okay. So, on the real, though, this episode is going to be incredibly good. This is something, we've got a man of exceptional character back with us today. Y'all give it up for my man, Mr. Bradley Dorvalis, once again, joining us here. And, of course, we have a newcomer with us. But you see, he's a newcomer only on these streets, because in the streets of Orlando, this man is well known and gaining reputation out here in the parts of Paramore and whatnot. So, y'all, give a warm welcome to Mr. Mr. Marquis McKenzie. Marquis, man, so good to have you with us here. Bradley has done nothing but talk about you since the first interview that we had. He's like, man, I got a partner. I got to have you meet this man. He'd be a great person to have on the podcast. And so since then, you've been like a legend for me to be able to get on the show. So it is with great excitement that I can actually get you both on there. And I appreciate any and all patience that y'all had with me with poor follow-up and poor execution.
It's the name of the game, man. We know how it is. We all grown. We're all busy. We all got moving parts and things going. So I'm just glad that we can finally sit down and get it all together, you know.
Yes, sir. And same here, man. And so I know that both of y'all got things to get to in a certain time frame. So I want to waste no time. I want to get straight into it. I want to take this time right now, audience, to allow y'all to meet and understand Marquis's journey. And then I also want to see about the ways in which you two have stayed friends throughout that time, and the way that y'all ended up coming back into consistent communication, and how y'all intersected along the different paths that y'all were taking here. So, Marquis, man, go ahead. Tell the people about you, man.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I appreciate you for, having this platform, not only for myself, but other people, in particular black men, right? It's rare that you see us come together, have conversation. And so I appreciate and give you your kudos and flowers for that. So with that being said, I'm Marquis. I'm from Orlando. Known as Marquis, the Dirt Master, Mike, Pops. Quite a few different names out here for quite a few different reasons. Overall, you know what I'm saying? I'm here for the people. You know what I'm saying? And just, I enjoy life, and, so I'm ready to get into it. I don't shy away from no questions. So I'm here to talk about, my journey, my past, where I'm at now, my future, and my hopes that, as I continue to grow as a black man.
Absolutely. So let me go ahead and set you up, man. So I know that for those of y'all that don't know, Marquis at a certain point in time, he as a youth, him and Brad hung out, and then there were certain different subsets of friends that they had. So Marquis, would you walk the audience through your journey to how you ended up where you are now and all the capacities of what you're at?
Yeah, I definitely got to give, I think, I believe in God, so I think it was definitely a walk that he wanted me to go down.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in the projects, sooner or later, my mom, I always start my story off saying I had both of my parents. Right? Either it was a split household, I had both parents. And why I think that's important is they always say that kids that got both parents supposed to be this perfect child. But I'm a great example of a person who had both parents and still made crazy mistakes, right? Made crazy decisions. At a point, my mom moved us out of the projects and we moved to Pine Hills. Technically, to me, you ask me, is the project still, but just not, it don't look like the projects, but it's the projects, it's houses, right? And I think by the early age, by the time I was 14, man, I had and gave up on life. I was like, you know what? By the time I'm 30, I want to be the biggest drug dealer in Orlando. I'm 33, and I ain't the biggest drug dealer. So, God had other plans for me, right?
As they say, God willing, and God was not willing.
Willing for that. And so that caused me, what I thought, certain things I had to do, certain lifestyle I had to live. And early on, I found out that, that wasn't the path for me, and that cost myself being incarcerated at an early age. And I was thinking just like a typical juvenile, typical youth, if I get caught, I'm going to get a slap on the wrist, 21 days, I'm going to go home. And that's what we were seeing. Yeah. Kids would go to jail sometimes for serious charges, and it was like 21 days, they get out, especially if you never got caught for anything. And then if you did the most thing, you go to a program. But I found myself in a unique situation with my mom being a correction officer. On my 21st day, I got direct foul. And I didn't know what that was, right? And for the listeners out there, direct foul in the state of Florida, it's a typical a statute where people who, juveniles particularly, commit a serious charge, you can be took out of the juvenile system and charged as an adult. And so I found myself at the age of 15 being charged as an adult for my very first offense. And, here I was, facing 10 to 20 years, particularly because I played a particular role in the crime and got sent to prison.
And so as you doggone saw that thing happen, I mean, the world just unfolds underneath you. However, that is not nearly where the story ends. That's only the beginning of a huge motivational factor for you.
Definitely.
So how was it that you then navigated those situations, and how did your mind frame start to shape up for when it was time to be complete with that process?
Yeah. Well, I even take it back, even just going back further, I remember, right, and it was crazy because I was, Brad could tell you, I was the youngest one, possibly the smallest one that was around everyone that we hung around. And so that's why I got the name Mike from. It actually came from like Mike. How Bow Wow was
yeah.
you know what I'm saying? And so they gave me that name. And it was to a point where I felt like I have done enough out here. And I was like, you know what? The day before I caught my charge, I was like, you know what? I want to be the man around here. I'm already kind of got a little respect for myself. I want to catch a body. And so I was like, you know what? We used to go out on the weekends. And I was like, you know what? This weekend when we go out, the first person we come across, I'm going to take their life, right? And I had no idea, how to get away with murder, anything about murder. I just thought that was going to put me in another different level. And so I tell you to say that I thank God that I got caught Thursday night, and I really didn't even want to go out Thursday night. I was really trying to get to Friday so I can catch his body. But I know God's probably like, he's serious. And I was going to take an innocent person's life, and probably would have never been here today to even tell this story. And so I went out Thursday, committed a crime, and got caught red-handed. And I tell you, a day before that, I was sitting outside, and where we lived at, we had a dead-end neighborhood. And so we could see everything that come in and come out. And, I seen a lady pass by. She was looking good. And I was like, dang, that lady look fine. So I was like, she got to come back and pass by, so I'm going to have a chance to see her again. And I was laying on the ground, you know, just trying to catch some sun. And in the way that I was positioned on the ground, my head was facing the opposite way from the road. And so then I could hear a car creeping up. So I'm like, I look up, it's the lady. So she at the end of my driveway, and she doing like this. So I'm like, I'm tripping. It's the same lady I just seen go to the back. And when I get closer to the car, the lady was crying. She was like, I don't know you and you don't know me, but God told me you get ready to go through some things and he going to be with you. And I had no idea what this lady was talking about. And she pulled off. And days later, the series of stuff started happening in my life as far as me going out, committing that crime, me getting arrested, getting charged as an adult. Not only that, me getting a position with one of the, and I got to give my flowers to him, rest in peace, Bob Waters. At the time was one of the best fairest judge, was in Orange County Circuit 9 before he passed away, a judge that believed in second chance. I don't think it's no coincidence that God put me with that judge, right? Because anybody else, I would have got a mandatory of 10 years because of my role. And then I had to give my flowers to John Richter, who was, again, you know, we growing up, we didn't really see too much white people helping us. Just be transparent. Like we was taught that, man, those people ain't for you. You know what I'm saying? And so we had to kind of, until we kind of met certain white people, like, no, all white people ain't the same. We kind of had our own views about what we was taught. And this white man, John Richter, and he would allow me to call him this white man because he was, you would think he was black. He cussed us out. He was hood. But he was very professional, and at the time, he was the juvenile program director in the Orange County Jail, and he had this thing, he called us thugs, and what thugs was teens hitting on the God's spirit, and he was like, y'all look at these kids as they're gangsters, but I don't. I just feel like they're misguided youth, and he had a way of trying to program the way that we thought. 90% of boys who was charged as adults back in that time, we was going to prison no matter what, but Richter was trying to show us that life is not going to be over, and so he brought in all types of programs for us. That was the first time I had read a whole book in my life. I was in 11th grade at the time. I never had read a whole book in my life until I was incarcerated. I get my GED in there. I got introduced to yoga, all type of mindset. And so it was me being humble enough to realize that, one, I'm not going to be in prison for the rest of my life, and I can't come back out thinking the way that I went in. And so I use that time for my advantage. Some people can make their time hard, or you can make it easy. I decided to make it easy.
Hey, man, chose the things that help to build up. That's what's up. That's a crazy acronym right there.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I have yet heard, and I said I'm gonna steal it, right? And I think Rick will allow me to do it, but I haven't had. It's very catchy. You know what I'm saying? When you think about kids, all the first thing they thugs, they gangsters, but he broke it down. He was like, no, they're not that wild. They're just teens hitting on the God's spirit. They misguided. And I've yet never seen nobody use that acronym like that. It was the only time I ever heard that thugs be broke down like that.
Yeah, that when you said it at first, I'm like, he called us thugs. But once you broke down the acronym, it definitely resonated with me. Because like for context, when Marquis was saying what we were doing on the weekends, we were basically like stick-up kids. So we were going around and getting people's work money, their hard-earned money, going in their pockets. However, unlike Marquis, I didn't want to catch a body.
Quick second.
Put that out there to the audience.
One quick second. Oh, go ahead.
All right. But yeah, as I was stating, we were basically like stick-up kids, but unlike Marquis, I was not trying to catch a body or whatnot. I was, and it's crazy because I'm a year older than him or whatnot. But that's what they talk about. He says the guidance. We had no guidance. That was just our environment. That was normal to us. Yeah. So we didn't look at it as if we're doing anything wrong. The guys who came up before us, they were doing the same thing. So that was just normal. But like going back to his story, interesting what he talks about, because during that time I was supposed to be with him because and I'm glad I wasn't with you. Whatnot, because me knowing, I'm like, woo, I'm glad they got you on Thursday because I would have been with you on Friday.
Wait, what were you gonna do? You were supposed to be like,
so we were thick as thieves, so we were always together. So what he was into, I was into. We were doing the same things. Fortunately for me, God allowed me to go with my high school girlfriend that day. And he literally called me right before the police ended up picking him up. Like I said, it was turning point for both of us because it was an eye opener for me because now my partner in crime is gone, and so I'm just out here. And like he's saying, he's going through what he's going through. He's getting direct fire. We're thinking, oh, 21 days, he'll be back home and we'll be right back doing the same thing. And then once we realized, like, whoa, this is getting more serious than we thought. And so just like when he went in there, I had to make a decision. And it's crazy that happened to him, but it was an eye opener for both of us.
Right.
So like I said, that acronym thugs really did, like when you just said that, it really did sit with me because I'm like, oh, yeah, we were definitely misguided. And I think that, as I say before, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So that's
100%.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna steal that thugs acronym too.
For real, I do like that. What?
And it's crazy, and like I said, I've been like, and this for years. I've been like, and people's like, people, and some people be shy away, but people that know it's like, no, that's creative and stuff. And then I look at it, teens hitting on God's spirit. Me just like listening, Brad talking to me, thinking about. I remember times him running from his mom not to go to church. Like they listen to me, they listen to me literally, and she come around with that van looking for him. They hide not to go to church. But again, we was teens, and she was trying to protect them, keep them up on a certain covenant. But you know, and I grew up in the church too, but I had to go. Fortunately, I couldn't run how Brad didn't run. I had to go.
Oh man, that's funny.
I'm talking to my mom. That's him right now. It's not me.
And real quick right now, this was something that we talked about on the last episode, Brad. This is a quick departure here, but we're just going to move the microphone a quick second. Y'all see our man Brad here. He got on a little something right now. Oh, yeah. Brad, could you remind the folks of what this right here is?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. As I was telling y'all, I have a fatherhood statement brand, you know, trying to change that narrative of the absent fathers. I grew up without a father, and so I think that had a lot to do with me being misguided. And so it's a big part of my life. I'm a girl dad, and I'm very much involved in their lives and want to help guide them in the right direction. I know I can't do it for them. But with that said, I try to make shirts that are have statements that, like I said, change that narrative of fathers. And this is one of my best-selling shirts here. It says, "Fatherhood is the best hood." I have on the matching hat. Yeah, this is the black version. You can go to thefatherhoodway.com if you're interested. You can see some of the apparel we have. But like I said, just changing that narrative just to try to make, like I said, that a positive view of what fatherhood is and what it really can do, because it really takes both. But with that being said, I did tell y'all I was going to get my man D some gear too.
Oh, snap.
So,
Let's go.
Most definitely. I got my boy.
Look at that boy right
the
there.
The white version, this is the exclusive. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I got him right. We still working on that boy, right?
My man. Hey, yeah, we still working on that. Okay. I'll tell you that right now. My wife was checking the schedule just the other day. Y'all will catch me in that on an episode or two here within the next little bit. I tell y'all what? Hey, no lie, I've been waiting on that for a minute, man.
Oh yeah.
I've been excited for it.
I told you to hold me accountable, and you had patience with me, so I really appreciate that, because we've seen each other so many more times in that time frame. So I was like, okay, I'm pulling up today, and I want to make sure I got some gear for you.
Hey, let's get it. Love it, man. Love it. So, yeah, I definitely wanted to take a minute to highlight that. So we'll go ahead and let's continue now. So you seeing Marquis head off now. You running the other direction. So now on your end, as you're like in that process, did you maintain communication with each other as this process happened? And how long was it? You might have said it already, but remind me, how long was the entire span of that?
So it was
experience?
It was 2 years.
Okay.
Over 2 years.
It seemed like closer to 3 years, to be honest. You say 2, but it seemed closer to 3 years. I feel like I don't think you counted exactly when you got locked up, because it was closer to 3 years. But in that time frame, we kept in touch as much as we could. At first, Marquis' mom wasn't feeling me, but she wasn't really feeling anyone who she felt like had been around and caused some type of influence.
Right.
So I couldn't even get away from her, because we stayed on the same street. So it took her a while But I feel like, I don't know if you talked to her, but it finally got to a point and she was like, hey, you know, Marquis asked about you. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, because I done wrote him and I can give her a letter now, something like that. But early on, no, couldn't really keep in contact because Mom Dukes want to make sure that what he had around with him would be successful, especially when he was to get out. So, yeah.
Man. And so on your end, like, at what point did you decide, like, all right, I'm gonna reach out to my main mans and I'm like, was there any point for you that you had any position of like, I need to completely, because I know some people, they do that. They're like, I need to cut off everyone related to that thing and I start a whole new chapter.
Nah.
But you maintain some ties there and you actually went through a genuine life change. So like,
right. Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things. Like when I be in these different spaces, especially when I go back to the juvenile detention center, and the first thing they be like, "Oh, you got to change the people," and I intervene. It's like, "No, you don't." Right? You know what I'm saying? I still got my same friends, 20 years plus. To be honest with you, I don't care to meet new friends. Like you know what I'm saying? If it's not nothing joining me doing business with people, I got the same friends that I was making decisions with, and I also it just depends on the person itself, right? And so, but I can tell you in this particular situation, like how Brad say that we stayed in this neighborhood but still was a subset of friends within the neighborhood. And so in this particular situation it got split a little bit because just say, when people get locked up, they say, oh, this person telling this and that, right? And so you had some people, and no disrespect to my co-defendant, he was painting the picture to his people that, I was lying, he had nothing to do with the situation. And so of course people go, no, well, how he get caught? And so then you had a certain side of people that was on his side, and then you had a certain side of people that was on my side. And so, the truth kind of came out. And, Brad was one of those individuals that was on my side. And so I stayed in contact with people that was on my side, and the people who wasn't on my side, it was what it is. And, and it kind of left like that. So.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. And, man, that's wild, though. Like, so both of y'all, like I said, grew up in Pine Hills, and either of y'all moved away for X amount of time, or like was both y'all whole lives in this Orlando Pine Hills area?
And it's funny because both of us not even from Pine Hills.
Yeah.
Brad is from the crosstown Palmore area. My whole family was from the Avalane area, and before we came to Pine Hills, we was living in Lake Man Projects. And so it's kind of like what we seen outside of the Pine Hills, we brought it to Pine Hills, and it's like in the mix of what the kids over there was already doing. But no, I honestly never moved away. So from the time I was incarcerated, got back out, my mom still owned the property over there. And so we were still over there. Even Brad's family was still there. Like, and it's crazy because that neighborhood, like 90% of the people over there was there for years, and so some people still over there to this day.
Yeah. For me, I did move. Like I said, that was a crossroads for me as well. So I felt if I stayed, that I would become even more a part of the environment. Like I said, we felt that everything that we did was normal, but that was a wake-up call, and I had to grow up. I was a year older than him. Like he said, he was a junior, so I was a senior. I don't know if you guys remember my last interview. I told you I was kicked out of school my senior year. But I've always been book smart, so I immediately went and got my GED. And I had my brother and his friends. They were in the band, and they were big on academics. So all of them were going up to Tallahassee, going to FAMU, and I took it as my opportunity to say, hey, let me leave this environment and make something different of myself before I'm like my good old pal here, Marquis, and locked up, because that's the way we were headed. That's what we knew. So I did. I actually left. I went off to school. I was stayed in Tallahassee. I moved to Gainesville for like a year, but for the majority of the time I was in Tallahassee. And that was, when I left Orlando, that was about 6-7 years. And once I got once I graduated and got my degree, I moved back and jumped right into the community.
Love it, man. And then also for you, as soon as you came out, you were just like, hey, we are getting in here. We're making a difference. So much so to the point that at a certain point you were working on a project, and I forget the exact name of it. And there's several projects now. I know that you're now the president of No Place for a Child. And then also the coalition of, is COE. The coalition of what's that last piece?
FRC?
Yes.
No. So you got core
Okay.
community outreach enterprise.
Okay.
There we go. So how was it that like so you started like doing all the things you needed to do, and you were running into some problems getting a job and things like that. So you started to do your whole own thing in the entrepreneurial space.
Right.
Who were the people that you reached out to for the purpose of being able to make connections and get the first in?
Right. So a lot of that started from the inside, right? I was preparing myself, coming up with a plan when I was inside. And it's crazy how I even got into the janitorial business, right? Growing up, my mom used to make us clean, and I used to hate her for it. Like, she used to pull the stove out, pull the refrigerator out. Like, some people think I'm crazy. My mom used to go outside, get a cup of dirt, throw it in the tub, and make us scrub the tub with dirt. Like, people from Georgia say they got this theory that you can clean with dirt. And it was crazy when I was in jail. For some odd reason, all the housemen, if you stayed out of trouble, you basically got the houseman job. So you was rarely locked down. And so because of my good behavior, I was basically the houseman. I had to keep the dorm clean. And in the midst of me cleaning, in the midst of me going through this, because I was facing 10 years, in no secret, I was the gunman in my case. And because I was the one with the gun, they wanted to give me 10. And in the midst of me stressing run by court, every time I clean, I found myself at peace, was still not knowing like this is something that I'm going to be doing. And I go to prison. I go to a youth camp. They call the youth camps gladiator camps. And the reason they call it that because you got a lot of jits running around crazy, fighting, everybody from different parts of Florida. So it's just riots. And so they came through, they stripped us of all of our rights. We couldn't get canteen, we couldn't go to rec, we couldn't get visitations, we was on lockdown. And so they was like, the way that y'all can start to earn y'all rights back was y'all had to compete who got the cleanest dorm. I find it no coincidence. Here I am in prison. I'm the house person. I know how to clean because my mom was strict on me about cleaning. So I applied those same cleaning. And so they come around. They had the white gloves, like literally the wardens. It's like 5 COs, all the wardens. They'll come around and they'll inspect every dorm. First month, my dorm come. First month, my dorm come in first place. So now my dorm we get a little more rights. We get to go to canteen. Like, oh, okay. Houseman. Second month, it happened again. It go all the way to 6 months, and my dorm went in first place. So I was like, man, if I'm doing this for free in here, when I need to get out, I need to start a cleaning business, right? And unfortunately, when I came home, life hit me reality. I came home the same year I was supposed to graduate from high school. I was facing a lot of depression. Like, I just came out of prison, and my classmates walking across the stage. And so I tried to get a job. You know, I was able to get jobs here and there. The biggest job I was able to land was at KFC. And because I got that job because of a family close friend was the GM, they gave me an opportunity. But even there at KFC, you know, it was to the point, like, I was at the KFC right there on Colonial and John Young. They had KFC and Taco Bell together. I was working in the kitchen in KFC, and then I was working the line on Taco Bell. I was just exceeding, like, I was just a star employee. And then also KFC had a competition with over 300 cooks, and we all had to compete who can cook the best chicken. And we had to, like, display our chicken in front of, like, corporate people from KFC. And I won the top cook, right? And then it came to the point where it was, all right, we're going to let him run his own store. He's going to be the GM. But I got blocked because of my felony conviction. So it's like, we can't hire you because you're going to be around the safe and you're going to be all that. So I'm like, you know what? And then, and it's an important part of my story that, you know, a lot of people may not know. In the midst of me trying to go from job to job, you know, I worked at Burger King, I worked at call centers, and I could only get so far because of my background. People was trusting me and giving me opportunity, but state-wise paper, they couldn't, like, pass the background. So I kind of fell back to the streets, right? You know, I started selling drugs, and I was like, you know what? I can get away from it, you know what I'm saying? And you know, honestly, you know, for a while it was working, but I think, again, God didn't have that plan for me because I was now veering away from the community and being in the street because I didn't want to have one feet in and 1 feet out. Yeah. And I got caught up in some stuff. In that case, got beat. And I was like, you know what, God, I ain't going to play with you no more. Wow. And so to your point, who I was reaching out, I had some mentors, and these was people I was connected with before I went to jail. But, you know, they wasn't entrepreneurs just yet. And then I had a few other people I reached out, and I don't even know who they is because they wasn't genuine. And so I just forgot who they was. But it was hard for me to find black people that, particular black men here in Central Florida that can give me the guidance, right? And so I kind of went back to my plan. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just start a cleaning business. I'm going to jump out there on faith. And I remember it like ain't nothing. Me and my kids' mom, we got our taxes, and I asked her, can I use some of the money to start the cleaning business? I bought me a mop bucket, some cleaning chemicals, some brooms, And bro, I just put it out there to the environment, you know what I'm saying, that, hey, I'm starting a cleaning business. I ain't have nothing, no marketing plan or nothing like that. I cleaned my house, posted pictures, and then people like, you got a clean business, you can do this. And then went from me cleaning somebody's oven, and then somebody posted on Facebook. Then I think a lot of people say, like, man, he just came from out of prison. He trying to do something positive. And so people started to give me an opportunity. It wasn't even... and I say this because a lot of people have things like, oh, people want to support popular business. I wasn't even popular, like, you know what I'm saying? I was almost a threat. People like, I ain't gonna let a convict come in my house, you know what I'm saying? But it was more of the way I presented myself. I think I moved a little different, and people was like, you know what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Just give them opportunity. And from there, it just went crazy. People started giving me opportunity. And then from there, I started to meet different people along the path. But I think by that time, and I look at it, God wanted me to go through certain doors that he was only going to open for me and not man. So I didn't have to think, oh, man did this for me and rely on man. It was more, I already got you on a certain platform. Anything else is just a bonus.
Wow. Dang. That right there. That's a word right there, man. And to be able to look at that now and to be able to see, like, God was actually, he was humbling me a little bit more before he started giving me, like, that success, to be able to have something nice and consistent there, because it can be easy to turn back to it. I mean, and as you mentioned, like that whole thing, like essentially the relapse that you had the one time there, and then I like how you said that you tested it a little bit. You managed to get off on that one there, and then he was like, all right, it's time to really be cool off it now.
Oh yeah.
So now, as you go, so you started the cleaning thing, and then you also, somewhere down in the timeline, began the coalition, the core, and then there was one other major piece that you were involved in, which involved fighting a law that was how many years, 150 years old, something like that?
Let's start there.
So... You guys, just so y'all know, and this is in his info that's in the description, but Marquis helped to lead something where it was a 150-year-old bill that was just turning people, minors, to juveniles that were supposed to be in juvenile centers into the straight up prisons. And so walk us through like that process right there, because from what I remember, this was the largest. It resulted in the largest change. Was that number accurate? I seen the number. It was.
Listen, the man can tell you better than himself. Amendment 4. Let's get into it. Like, because I love this myself. I'm getting excited with you just even getting it started.
Definitely.
Don't mean to cut you off. Let's get into it. Tell us about this.
Yeah. So I always. We had to start in the backstory, and you was like, who was those people I met, right? And so in a part of me coming out, starting my business, I started my nonprofit, which before it was called CORE, it was called the One Foundation, and basically it was like you teach one, you reach one. All it take is one, right? And don't try to go out to the masses. Just try to reach one person, and that one person can help you reach the masses, right? And in the midst of that, I knew that I wanted to help people coming out of the system. I just didn't know to what capacity. And so I was at this event, and to this day, me and him have two different stories. My ED, Desmond, me is like my older brother. He say I met him somewhere else, and I say, no, I met you at this event. And the way that I remember the story, I was at this event around trying to restore your rights, right? And, I went to this event and hit this guy. He was like, oh, yeah, I got this new amendment. If we can get it changed, we can get people that got felony convictions, they voting rights back. And so he on me, I'm a jit, not really knowing how the system works. I raised my hand. I was like, that sounds good, what you talking about, but I want my gun rights back first. Right? And so, he was like, man, you're a returning citizen. And so we don't use the word felon like that freely. We use the word returning citizen. I was like, what that mean? I was like, no. He was like, you got a felony conviction, you're a felon. I'm like, yeah. He said, you ain't got no rights. And I was like, no, all I got to do is stay out of trouble for 5 to 7 years, and I'm going to have all my rights restored and this and that. He was like, all right, stay out of trouble for 5 to 7 years and come see me when you got your rights back, right? And so technically, he was schooling me. And after the event, he pulled me to the side. He was like, nah, man, in Florida right now, you got a felony conviction. This was prior to 2018. You lose all your rights for life. Yep. And so what you were speaking on earlier, the direct file piece is a different thing, right? So direct file is still on books. Juvenile skills to be charged as an adult, and so the Amendment 4 was a piece that for 150 years, again, in Florida, if you had a felony conviction, you lost all your rights, including your voting rights. So how is it that someone who has a felony conviction can advocate for themselves? We can't. We go to politicians like, hey, man, we can't rent. We can't get a job. All right. We don't matter to them, right? And not saying all, but majority of them, because as a political person, they care about voters. It's just be transparent. And we not a voter.
Yeah,
you know
they have nothing to gain
like,
from like...
Right. What is it? I'm going to lose my job really trying to help a felon, right? And so Desmond had this theory that if we can at least get people their voting rights back, then now we become a force to be reckoned with, and now they got to talk to us. Now they got to hear us. So let me break it down in more terms. The presidential election, from what we were seeing for these last couple of years, has been won by over 100,000 votes, right? You got way more than 100,000 people in Florida. Now, when you talk about the governor race, when we seen the last governor race between DeSantis and Andrew Gillum, which is closest to the time that we was pushing Amendment 4, was only decided roughly around 30,000, 35,000 votes. Wow. How is it that you got over 1.4 million people in Florida that got felony convictions that can't vote? So now to them, it looked like we're a voting bloc. Technically, we are. And we're a nonpartisan organization. We don't lean left or right. We care about issues that impact people that come out of the system. Because let me just paint the picture. If you're a Republican, you got a felony conviction, you can't rent. You're a Democrat, you got a felony conviction, you can't rent. And then, you know what I'm saying? So it ain't even about the parties, you know what I'm saying, about us. It's about the issue. And so I was up on the Desmond leadership, and we had a unique opportunity to pass Amendment 4, which over 1 million people voted on it. It was the highest initiative. It got more voters than the governor's candidates, DeSantis and Andrew Gillum got that year. And so that just shows us that people in Florida believe in second chances. And ever since
Can
then,
we get some horns for that? Like,
my bad, I'm enraptured right now.
So it's been a battle, but it's been a good fight. And of course, when we passed the Amendment 4, the way that Amendment 4 was written, a lot of people try to blame certain politicians or certain things. You know, again, that's we don't care about obstacles. We try to create opportunities. And of course, when Amendment 4 was written into law, it basically said anyone who has a felony conviction, before you're able to get your voting rights back, one of the criteria was to pay back your fines and fees that's associated with your felony conviction. And so we rolled up our sleeves. We told our stories. We painted good pictures and showed real narratives of who we really were. And we was able to raise over $30 million and pay back that, paid over 50,000 people fines and fees across the state of Florida so they can be able to vote.
Wow.
right?
Holy smokes, man.
I told you, man. Just let them get into it. Like,
that's crazy. So, and to the tune of 1.4 million people.
Yep.
Sheesh. And this was back in, you said 2018?
Yep, 2018.
Wow. So that change that happened, y'all was the ones that paved the way for that.
Yep, and we was the first organization. Is it my ED, man? He was Times 100. You know what I'm saying? Name is Times 100. The MacArthur's Genius grant he received, which is a very prestige award. And then not only that, we was the first organization that was led by impacted people from the criminal justice system to receive a Nobel Peace Prize. Even though we didn't win it, we still feel that we wanted just to have that Nobel Peace Prize nomination.
100% to be nominated is crazy. Man, so, I mean, once you do something like that, as far as like life purpose and whatnot goes, like you done the whole thing, man.
Yeah, we definitely going down in history. And at the time, to be honest with you, I thought, when say I started as a volunteer with the organization, so I'm like, all right, it ain't gonna go nowhere, man. We just out here, and still, I didn't really think it was that serious because I didn't know nothing about voting. I didn't know nothing about the system. I didn't really think this was serious until one day I'm starting to see us on national news, and I'm like, hold on, that's Dez, like that's my boy, like what? We on CNN. It's like now they talking about they ain't even talking about the president race no more. They talking about Amendment 4 is the hottest topic across the nation, and so I was like, oh no, I didn't got in a good seat.
Man, yeah, So nowadays, the voting right is something that now is restored to returning citizens.
Yep.
And so now I know that, and this was something that coming in now, looking at some things that people look at. So that part has been returned now. And people, and it's interesting because a lot of people were saying, as far as with this Trump stuff going on, that man, what the heck? Now we got president, and he's a felon. He's a convicted felon. So how is it that he can vote? But I think that most people call it ex-felons, but returning citizen. I like that right there. So returning citizens can't vote for what, and they came back, they're rehabilitated, but our president still can't. How does that even make sense?
Right.
And I guess now Florida's not the one that says that. Florida, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so to be honest, it's been causing some national conversation, right? You know, let me just be open. Like, as an organization, as a self, we don't want nobody to get convicted because we know the hardships that someone has to go through. Not only them themselves, but the family have to go through it, right? So, but on the other end, we was happy that Trump got convicted because now it shows us that not even Trump, it could have been Biden that got convicted, right? Either party as a president, we happy that. Let me say not Trump getting convicted. We happy that a presidential candidate got convicted because now is that how can you, again, like you said, allow someone who's a president hold the highest position in the world as a convicted felon, but someone who's not, right, can't even rent, right? If I wanted to today to go volunteer at my kid's school, they're going to tell me I can't because of my background. But they'll send a paper in his book bag or my daughter's book bag and say, hey, go see if your parents can fundraise or donate. Y'all want my money, but y'all won't even let me give my time. But now, like I said, it's forcing us on a national level to put these people in the hot seat. Even if our state of Florida, how is it that, you know, we support a president with a felony conviction, but you got millions of people in Florida right now, they got a felony conviction. They can't get a job. They can't rent. They can't do certain things, but we saying it's okay for someone to run as president. That sounds backwards. Matter of fact, no, we glad that it happened that way. Now y'all got to open the floodgates and start to show leniency to a lot of other people. If not, it's just going to show that, you know, it's something wrong with our world.
Jeez. Okay. What? They say God answers prayers in strange ways. Yeah. Man. So like, okay, so you out here, you starting to do all this stuff. So at what point did y'all like actually get reconnected friendship wise and get back in regular communication with each other?
I mean, and I definitely love Brad to jump in. For one, I don't think we never lost, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we was always connected. From the time I went in, from the time I got out, we were still connected. Brad was working within the school systems. So we still regularly, like, we were still connected regularly. I think our work started kind of intertwining when Brad was at UCF. And he was, like, tasked to do a lot of community outreach. And so it was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I want to also work with a population of people that's coming out of incarceration. And he knew that I was dealing with that. And so we just, all right, let's see how we can make fit. You got an event, I come to your event. We got an event, you come to our event. So we started just to scratch each other back and make our jobs a little much easier when the areas where we both wasn't like touching, you know what I'm saying? He was the education piece. That wasn't my role. Let me pass people to Brad. And when it come down to people trying to learn about getting their rights and stuff, he's like, you know, he dealing with them education-wise, but he see that's another hindering block. I got another resource I can help you out. And so we just start scratching each other back and bringing our work together.
Yeah, just piggybacking off that, like you said, we never lost contact. We were always friends. But I think
even in the period where you moved away for like 6 years and so.
Yeah. If I came back home or we talked on the phone and stuff like that, if I came back home, I'll definitely get up. Like I said, my parents still stayed in the same neighborhood. So I'll just go down the street or he'll come down the street. He knows I'm home. So we never lost contact, but we're grown now and we're kind of finding our way as men. Right. So we're doing our own things. And just like he said, he was KFC, then he started his business, and then he started falling into FRCC. And so with that being said, with me, I think, like he says, when I started working at UCF, I got a background in education. I was a dean, worked with behaviors and things like that.
Do a quick shift. Right.
And I believe it was once I changed positions and I went to UCF, became a program manager. Like he said, started doing a lot of community work. And what I found I was good at is finding those gaps and closing those gaps just by, like he said, finding those different resources within the community. I already know what he can do in his expertise and skill set, so I wanted to definitely bridge those gaps. But it's something's funny is the position that I got. So shout out to Zoe Cologne. She believed in me. She got me my position at UCF, which I'm still hired at UCF now. But when she hired me, she basically said I reminded her of someone. And then when she talked about the person, she was actually talking about Marquis.
That's crazy. What?
Yes. And the position that I got, she thought that it was actually a great position that Marquis could have filled. However, as we keep going back to, because he's a returning citizen, that charge won't allow him to hold a position at UCF like that. So it's almost like the position that I'm in now was thought of with him in mind. But since he couldn't do it, I guess I was the next best thing. So thank you. So like I said, it's all interest. But like he said, we've always been thick as thieves. So if you can, now we can start doing the community work with each other. Not just we're good on the personal level, but now in the professional setting, it's like we already have the chemistry. So it's so easy for us to tag team and do things. Last time I was here, I was mentioning the forum that was coming up, and I collaborated with him to bring on to do the forum at FAMU's College of Law. So, like I said, anytime we can find a gap or somewhere where we can fit, or even if it's not something I'm doing, but I know I can connect him to them because he has a lane that I don't have, but it can take them to another level, and vice versa. However, we can connect each other to individuals, or if we can collab, which we love to do, that's what we're gonna do.
Man, that's crazy. It's almost the stuff of movies that you think about to see like two boys just out here being ragtag individuals. And then what, like somebody needs to make a movie about this little thing right here. Because to really see it out, and then one comes out and he's doggone setting a bill that's changing the lives of literal millions now. And then another is in the educational space, being able to get them as they're coming up in some of the most vulnerable states at that young adult age where everything is even more confused now. And I mean, that's crazy.
Yep.
Y'all some poster boy for what to do afterwards. I'm checking the time here. We at 5:08. What's y'all hard out time? I know we had agreed 6, but I know you rescheduled something for this real quick.
Yeah, I rescheduled something. We still good right now though. We're still
Okay.
good.
Cool. So doing that as a whole project there, and then now as you continue on, what is your main focus, and what are both of y'all's main focuses right now in current of summer 2024?
Yeah, two things, main focus. Well, I'll say 3. First, I think main focus for me, and just like I said, I'm an open book, man. I'm coming out of a 15-year plus relationship with my kid's mom, and so how do I redefine my relationship with my kids is one of my priority things. And you know, me and my kids are very close, but now it's like separate households. It's like, how do I really create space for them, right? Because one of the biggest things, one of my mentors said me that you could be the hero to the world, but if you ain't the hero at home, it don't make sense, right? And so I have to check myself sometimes because I can get something super busy and realize just because I'm in a house with my kids that, you know what I'm saying, I'm being a father, but it's like, nah. So my biggest priority is, okay, how do I rebuild and set my kids on a good platform where our relationship can stay best. Second thing, of course, with the organization, one of our biggest goals long term is just be able to beat the state down around voter registration, voter education. Because again, for 150 years, people who wasn't voting, we're not going to turn around and vote overnight, right? And it's a process. You got some people who've been in that process, but now we just want to make sure that they know their rights, they're protected, they feel safe, and they're making the right decision. And then third, just I'm a diehard entrepreneur, and so I'm still just building out my business. You know, I'll be going on 10 years in 2025 running the business, and so now I want to be able to
10 years, 95% of businesses don't make it past 5.
Yeah. And so now the biggest thing is that how do I really create an infrastructure to take the business to a next level? In that level in particular, I want to be a corporation where I franchise my model, but only franchises out to formerly incarcerated people, in particular formerly incarcerated families. You know, I just got this unique thing that I feel like business to keep families together, and I want to have a model that, you know, people that want to get into the cleaning industry, that coming out of the system, can take my model and build it across the world.
Man, that's wild, man. That's wild. And I got some pieces on that. Brad, how about you this summertime?
So for me, I think I'll start personally. So personally for me, the fatherhood way. So of course, family foremost. Got to make sure that I'm taking care of myself so I can put my best foot forward for my family. I think I'm in a time period of my life is transition. A lot of things on my plate, and I need to make sure that I'm going at everything the correct way so that I can put myself and my family in a better position, which leads to my professional. Professionally, I'm a program manager at a university. I own the Fatherhood Way statement brand, and I also I'm the executive director of Navigate Inc., which is a youth mentorship program we use to build future leaders, but not also that, connect their families to resources that'll further their education in their career. So with that being said, working on myself to be better for my family, but then not only that, then it's going to help me take the next step in my businesses. Right now, like I said, I'm in a transition, so I'm actually looking to leverage my expertise and my skill set and either go to a new position or just ultimately step out on faith and go 100% with the Fatherhood Way and navigate and utilize that to be able to provide for my family. But not only that, I think it forces me to really go into the community, and because these businesses are on me, and what I do depends on me helping the community. I think it forces me to go in the community and really put my best foot forward for them as well. So all in a nutshell, working on me so that I can be better in these other endeavors that I'm trying to take as far as with my family and my business.
Makes sense. And both of y'all brought up fatherhood now. I know you're a dad girl, two beautiful girls now. Marquis, what's your count?
So I have three. I got 2 boys and 1 girl. They go boy, girl, boy. So my oldest would be 15 this year. My second oldest would be 14 this year. My youngest just turned 11 this year.
Man. Okay. So y'all got a couple kids around similar ages in there.
Mine's a 12 and 10, and my 12-year-old will be 13 in November. So yeah, they're right in the middle. He go, I go, he go, I go.
Right. A little ping pong with it. So being in that fatherhood position, and as you mentioned, coming out of a 15-year thing right there, man, that is a huge swing right there. And that was something that, I mean, as that transition happens, like, what do you look at as like how to properly structure the things out so that you can continue in the capacity that you are being as most effective? I was doing a show last night about how purposeful fathers, I mean, the litany of how much better children do with purposeful fathers, I mean, it's undeniable. 50% better when it comes to like mental well-being and things like that. So as someone that's doggone going into that, man, what's the game plan, bro?
To me, it's just to be as transparent as possible I could with my kids. I remember a time growing up, and as kids, they just tell us to stay in a child's place, and I look at it, I'm like, that's totally backwards, right? I think it is certain things that kids, a kid can only not be in a child's place if they was exposed to stuff, right? And if they're exposed to not to stuff. So I try to have a transparent conversation with my kids, whereas like make them comfortable to come talk to me about any and everything if they want to know it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I could growing up, even if you was curious about something, you'd get in trouble for trying to ask questions. And so I try to be completely opposite. It's like, no, if you want to know, ask, you know what I'm saying, and just expose them. The biggest thing that I feel about now is just, my kids is having character. Right, teaching them how to be respectful. I'm a firm believer, and we see it, right now. We talk about fatherhood, what LeBron James did, right? A lot of people are saying, Bronny is not that good, this and that. I don't care. Yeah, I'm not even a Lakers fan. I'm a Magic fan.
LeBron fan,
right? But
I
it's just like what he did, and part of that, right? What people say, it was forced. No, what it is that who you know, and that's true. You got to know people to get some places, and he was in a position. He knew the right people to make it happen, and his son was in that position. And so I'm looking at how can I put my kids in that same position because of who I am. They get favor. It's sad to say it works like that in society. It's not about what you know; it's about who you know. And so putting them in a position where they can know the right people, they can make the right decisions, and then working hard for everything. And I tell my kids, like, if you want it, you got to work hard for it. And so just some people are like, being a parent is hard, being a father. I'm like, no, it's easy. If you know what you're doing. It's not hard to be a father. It's not hard to be a parent, but it do take sometimes just being very mindful of the things that you do and how you do it and stuff.
Yeah. Just piggybacking off that, there's no rule book to being a father. There's no perfect way. I think the the most important thing though is being intentional.
Yeah.
And so I feel like if you're leading with intention, the best results are always going to come from that. I feel that, like Marquis stated, I'm not that, like I like to call a TV dad. I feel like when you look around, TV kind of shows your dad, oh, dad does this, oh, dad can be mean, no boys, no this, no that. And I'm like, I'm not that person. I have 2 girls. So I try to show them that, hey, I'm not that scary dad. I'm that dad you can come and talk to. I don't tell you what to do. I try to help guide you in the right direction, but you're your own person. So you got to make these decisions for yourself. So I try to lead intentionally in with a purpose. Like I want them to be comfortable to speak to me about everything. I want them to be to know that I love them and they can depend on me at all times. And so I try to actively be there for them. I try to actively have those intentional conversations with them, not just surface level conversations, but deep conversations, just to try to see where their thought process is and how I'm doing as a father. I literally will check in on myself like, hey, how do you think I'm doing? Have I been yelling at you too much? Have I been this? And even if I'm yelling at you, let's break down, why did I yell at you? Let me do better at not doing that, but let's talk about why that happened and things that nature. So like I said, I feel like it's really about being intentional as a father. I think a lot of people think it's a monetary tag to it. It's not that, putting the time in and being intentional. But with all that being said, I feel like one of the most important things when it comes to situations like me and yours is actually that relationship piece with their moms or whatnot.
Definitely.
Because it takes 2. You need both. You need that masculine and that feminine energy. They need to be able to see both. And so you want to make sure that your relationship with the mom is affecting the child in a positive manner or whatnot. And so you want to always have respect for the mother of your child, but y'all want to make sure that the ultimate goal is for the success of the child. So y'all are not letting things that's happened between y'all and y'all relationships or your past get in the way of the success of your child. We know that everything we do is for the benefit of the child. And I feel like once it's kind of centered around that, the child is really set up for success. So.
Yeah.
So as you speak about that, it makes me think of just like the way that people are in one place, one environment versus how they might be in another environment. I'm curious for y'all, when y'all are together and whatnot, kicking it, and now since it's on this personal and this professional level at this point, do y'all ever find each other talking in a way that one or the other feels like you need to kind of correct or kind of call out, hey man, I kind of see you kind of talking like this, like, slow down, man, you kind of.
No, I mean, I think it depends on what the situation is, but and I think that's what I value about our friendship, our brothership. We call each other cousins, right? What I value about, we don't agree with everything. And so nowadays you'll see, and we were just talking about it, some people, just because they don't, I'm black, I'm gonna talk about the black community. You see a lot in the black community, if we don't agree, then we enemies, or we're against each other. And it's like, no, I honestly don't want people around with me if I can't disagree with them. If we got to agree with everything, then how are we going to grow from each other? And so it depends on what the situation is. We have two different agreements. We go back and forth. We're like, nah, but I see it this way. And it helps us guide the way that we think, or at least, I've learned in certain spaces, so you don't be judgmental, at least be open to hear the other person's opinion, you know what I'm saying? Or not, some stuff could be facts, but 9 out of 10, a lot of people have their own opinions, but they have reasons. Sometimes people have experienced trauma or been through certain ways or experienced certain things, the reason why they feel or think a certain way. But we totally have a lot of different times we disagree, and we just go back, bounce each other ideas and hear how we feel about it, and we give each other that space to say, all right, I feel this way because of that. You know what I'm saying? And then, but the biggest thing that I respect about Brad is like, okay, it said we could be. I give a perfect example, right? We was this whole District 5 candidate thing, and I had my views about one way. He had his one ways, and he was like, at least give me the opportunity to see that versus him just going with the way I said it, you know what I'm saying? And I respect that. He's like, he trusts my word as Bun, but at least give me the opportunity to experience myself before I feel like, you know what I'm saying, this is the reason why I should be thinking or going this way and stuff. And so, yeah.
What was the difference in that case right there?
It just not digging into it too much, but just it was just a difference. He knew some of the candidates more prior than I did, and so he knew on a different level and different things about them. And like I said, for me, it's not. I believe my best friend could be your worst enemy. I'm a firm believer in that, and it's like just because you may feel a certain way towards someone or you have these experiences doesn't mean like overall that's just that person. That's just maybe what happened in y'all situation. So I was like, give me the opportunity myself to be able to form my own opinions on these individuals just from what I'm learning, hearing about them, and being around them. So just like what he's saying. So I'm a part of an organization called Route 7. Shout out to Route 7. Like a fraternity of men, but we have 3 pillars that we focus on. One is community service, the other is collaboration, but another and one of the most important is accountability. And so when you said that statement that you made about Marquis, like we definitely don't agree on stuff. That's I think me and him are both alpha males, so we both have our opinions and think we're both strong minded and both intelligent individuals. And so with that being said, we understand that. So I know if he's just talking, he's not blowing smoke. He's going to be talking from a place of experience and some knowledge, some expertise. So I'm always going to respect his opinion, but it's the same thing with me. And I feel like when he says his opinion, I say mine, and they're so different, it kind of brings a more full scale of a perspective on things. And so that's what we respect about each other's opinion. Or he can start talking to me about something, he knows I'm going to think differently about it. So then I start giving him my opinion, and it allows him to have a deeper thought process into it. And the same thing, vice versa. I'll think somewhere about something that he starts giving me a different viewpoint. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't look at it like that. And it allows me to have more of a full scale approach. So like I said, we kind of like that we're not yes men. We don't we don't agree. I don't agree with the pants he has on right now. So I'm like, it's not about agreeing. It's about being able to hold each other accountable. Iron sharpens iron. So if he's iron and I'm wood, if I try to sharpen him, I'm too dull to sharpen him. If he try to sharpen me, he gonna cut because he's too sharp. So you got to be able to take that accountability. So iron sharpens iron, and that's all we want around us. That goes full circle to even our other friends. We gonna hold you accountable. If you're not a good dad, if you're not doing something, we're gonna hold you accountable. That's what it's all about, because we don't need that type of energy around us if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing as a man. I don't respect that, bro. I just don't. I don't respect that. So, like I said, I think like we said, that's what makes us work so good together. We don't agree, we don't agree, but we always know it's coming from a sense of logic, reasoning, and we listen to each other or whatnot. And it's almost like, we both be right. We just looking at it on different sides. And when it gets down to the bottom, like, okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying here. So, it works out for the best.
And it makes, what you guys say makes sense as far as like not even wanting dudes that aren't doing their things as fathers, not being in that, because then essentially that's what used to essentially keep the fabric of the backbone of, especially in the black community, where marriage rates were the absolute highest in like, what was it, the 20s, 30s and whatnot, because communities were so tight knit like that. Everybody was constantly on each other. Hey man, you doing this right? Hey, you doing this? Families were like highly in churches. They were religious together. And so, I think that y'all are doing something that we've seen that historically works well. And then, so this is a little bit of a detour, but we see now there's this population of growing men that are sad, alone, and whatnot. And I'm curious about you guys' thoughts of how much of that population is new generation men that just haven't been led, guided, and mentored with fathers or father figures in their lives, versus a population of men who were underperformers and now they've been left lonely because they essentially were kicked out for being essentially the degenerates of fatherhood.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think technically you got a mixture of both in there, right? Because you can have the population of older men. It would take an older man to be able to talk more into that, but you have a population of older men that would tell you they was raised not to be soft and not to cry, right? And I can guarantee that's a lot of those older men nowadays who are the ones that's left alone because they don't know how to vent, they don't know how to go talk. Whereas the newer generation, they're learning that as a man, it's okay to talk, it's okay to be open up, and it's okay to be vulnerable. And so I think it's a mixture of both, if you ask me.
I think it's a mixture of both, but I think I'll definitely lean more to the younger. I think it's more of the younger generation. I think because of that, because they're misguided, I think the older men, like he said, they're not as emotional, but a lot of times with them not being as emotional, they still they don't allow their emotions to get the best of them. So even though they're lonely and maybe depressed, they can keep it to themselves and kind of they're in their ball of depression, where the younger ones seem to be taking it out on others or suicidal, or it's like I think they listen to too much Drake. But
Drake going through some things right now too.
I had to take my shots. But yeah, I definitely think, and I feel like that's a big part of the fatherhood way. That's a big part of the kind of help navigate them, be that compass, because I do feel like that strong male role model is missing. I can speak from experience myself. Yes, I seem like I got my head on straight. But that came through experience. I feel like if my father was there, I would be a lot further than what I am, or my head, I would have been able to maneuver a lot easier, and I just kind of had to go through it. So if I can be like that block to kind of help fill in that gap and kind of provide some direction for them by helping with mentorship and exposure. I believe exposure is everything. That's one piece that I forgot to mention with the kids too. Intentionality, co-parenting, and exposure. That's something big for your little ones. But yeah, I believe.
When you say exposure, what do you mean? How do you mean that?
So exposure. So coming up where we come up from, like we talked about our environment, right? And in our environment, we said that for us, it was normal to be doing those things that we were doing. We thought we seen everyone else do it because that's what we were exposed to. So with that being said, I believe when you expose individuals to different things, it kind of helps their trajectory. So as far with me, even though I grew up in that environment, I was always a kid who was pretty book smart. So I would take myself to the library. I would kind of read books, research things. And then one of the first things I said was, when after Marquis got locked up, I got kicked out of school. I had to make a decision. What did I do? I left my environment. Once I left my environment, I was exposed to a different way of living, to where I wasn't paranoid. I wasn't looking over my shoulder. Didn't feel like I had to do this to make money. Now mine was more on how can I get this degree so I can be so I can make this money, get into a career and things of that nature. So now mine is more, and so now I'm exposed to that type of world. So what I'm saying with the kids now, my daughters, with me, I didn't have no father figure, anything like that. So I had to kind of join programs or do things on my own. My daughters are both heavily involved in sports and different programs and things of that nature. As a matter of fact, exposure. One of my daughters is in Hawaii right now. In December, she came from Jamaica or whatnot, and that's not even on me. That's her mom's taking her there, but it's still providing that exposure. But beyond that, she's that same daughter. She's a cheerleader. She's a charmette. That means the many AKAs. She has advanced classes in school, but she's also in virtual school as well.
Man,
because she plans on graduating by the time that she's 16. Even though she's in cheerleading, she's been in dance. She's did piano. She's played softball. She's played soccer. She's played flag football. She's played volleyball. That's just my 12-year-old or whatnot. So when I talk about, like I said, exposure of everything, because when you introduce them to these different things, it's not as easy for them to get sidetracked by peers and what their peers are doing, because they have something in front of them that's keeping their brain and things, but not just a tablet or a phone to where they're going. You're providing that exposure that opens up their brain to different things. And so now they want to try different things or whatnot, and they want to do different things. And that's how you see you get your Simone Biles and things of that nature. You get your Coco Gauffs playing tennis and things of that nature, because they were exposed to those things at a young age, and they're like, oh, this is different. My friends aren't doing this, but I like this, and they kind of take to it. And I say Simone Biles because my 10-year-old is a gymnast. She's actually she's in Melbourne right now on an at a gymnastics camp or
Oh,
whatnot.
snap.
For something like I said, exposure. You have to keep them exposed. And like I said, because we want the best for her, we want her to be the best gymnast that she could be. So that's a deep dive of what I mean by exposure. Just exposing your kids to different things, and I feel like it opens up different pathways for them, get them thinking about different things, and just allows more lanes for opportunities for them to be whatever they want to be in life.
Okay. And I want to ask both of y'all this question here. So, being that both of y'all are people that have come back in your own sense to your own faiths, I'm curious about what does that look like as far as your path and your plan for guidance spiritually with your kids?
And so where I'm at now, I mean, so I'm like, and still to this day, I be wanting to know about all types of different religions, but I just don't think I have the time how I thought I would have. I say, I want to go to this church, I want to go to this church, I want to go to just learn, right? But I just don't have the time and capacity to do that.
Right.
I'm a firm. I grew up on Jesus. I believe in Jesus, and I don't push on religion on my kids at all. But I teach them that praying. And I want them to just the basis fundamentals of, what God asked me to have a personal relationship. And if they get older, right, the best thing I like about Jesus gave Satan the opportunity to believe in him or not. And so who am I to tell another human being, my kids or not, that you got to believe in Jesus, that I believe, it's a heaven and hell, and when you got to go one another. And so I just want them as of now, be mindful that, it is some type of higher power. The higher power that I believe in is God. You could choose to follow that. You get older, I'm not questioning what you believe in, and I'm not going to look at you any type of way. But and that's my saying. I try to bring them into church. Currently, right now, I don't think my kids was in active as church as I am, and growing up as I was. And I want to get back into the church, but then also I'm very, very cautious about, like, one day someone told me, I was like, I want to get back in church, like, Marquis, just what did God ask you to have a personal relationship with Him, right? Sometimes you could be going to a church, pointing at the church more than that church can pour into you. And so be careful, right? And so I'm still trying to scratch that fence. It's like I got this far without going to church, right? But I know I believe in my God, and I still do the stuff that He want to ask me that. And I try to, so I try not to push religion on my kids, but I try to let them be very cautious. Like, man, it's okay to I pray. Y'all should pray every day, and then just kind of allow them. Because I think we all still trying to figure out, like, and I'll try not to think too deep of it, and I don't want to stress myself out. So, I just do the bare minimum with them. I want them to pray and be mindful that there's some type of higher power out there.
So I got to stop letting him go first, because it's like, it's almost like I'm copying him once I talk. Like, he says all the good parts, and I'm just like, all right, in this or whatnot. But similar to what he's saying. Again, not definitely believe in a higher power. I grew up Christian mom. Like I think I told you last time, I told my mom, you go to church every day? She said, no, I don't go to church every day. I don't go on Mondays. Or whatnot. So like he said, mom coming down the street in the minivan looking for us. We hiding, we jumping fences. We're trying to, because my mom's strict Christian, like I'm telling you. So grew up in it and everything. Definitely, most definitely believe in higher power, but I don't try to push religion on my kids. I do want them to know that there's a higher power. I do want them to be spiritual. I do talk about affirmations, manifesting, meditation, things of that nature, and wanting them to build their own relationship with God. Also, big part in it is their moms. And when I talk about co-parenting, and also what their parents, what their moms believe in, and things of that nature. So I don't want to overstep, but just I think one of the biggest compliments you as a father that you can have is when people say, "Dang, you have some well-mannered kids," or they have good morals. And I want that's what I wanted to be led by, whatever religion or spirituality they're thinking about doing. I want to be led by their morals, and not more of, I think this way, and so you should be doing this because I'm Christian. You have to be a Christian. Like that's just not me. I believe in exposure to it, and if they choose that path, I mean, they might want to be. They might want to be Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? But as long as, like I said, it's led with good morals and they understand their ears out, they're not atheists and things of that nature, then we're good. But like I said, my job is not to tell you what to do, is to provide some type of guidance for you, and you make those right decisions on your own, because I'm not always going to be there. I can't hold your hand, but Just know that there is a God.
So, and this question for both of you, let's say that either of you have one or both or all of your kids that become extremely devout. And by extremely, I don't mean extreme like, 4chan, 8chan, that type of stuff. I mean, they're serious about it, and it's a regular part of their lives. And you can see the excitement in them. You understand how much it means. You understand that it's done something enormous for them. And they say, Dad, I am like, this right here means so much. I want you to come join me in this. What is your response, each of you, to your children?
So for me, I'm going to go first, like I said. So for me, I would come join them, but not as saying that, okay, you're Amish now. And because you're Amish, now I have to be Amish or whatnot. It's like, no, I will come to the Amish church. I will, when I come around, you respect the Amish things and things of that nature, but I don't have to do that. However, because you're my child and you believe it, I'm going to take a closer look into this. I'm going to be more intentional about it if you believe in it, because I believe in you and I love you. And so I'm going to be more, I'm going to make myself more educated about whatever religion that they've chosen and see if that is something that it may align with my morals and my skill set. But it's not I'm dad, not you. You know what I'm saying? So it's not just because I said that you're doing this, but I'm definitely going to take an interest into it. I'm definitely going to go. I'm definitely going to support. And if it is something that aligns with me, I might switch over. But like I said, it's not on just because they said it that's what I'm doing. You know?
Yeah. So now I see how he feels. Like, same thing, right? No, and so with me, it's on a certain lot of people that I allow to give me guidance or be sometimes like I'm willing to listen and hear you out. And I think my kids are gonna forever have that privilege with me that I'm gonna be willing to listen and hear them out. But that don't mean I'm gonna make the same decision. So like whatever it is, yeah, I'll come join. I'll come tell me about it, right? And, I may align or I may don't. I won't just be like, no, I don't believe in that. Only thing I think I would make... only probably for my kids, if they come in with this atheist stuff, right? I probably I give you an opportunity to talk to me about it and let me know why you're here. But like, I just won't be like, oh no, I know for a fact I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? I may come join. I come to your church just because you my child. I want to hear like why you feel that type of way. And this part of me was like, okay, let me see if they misguided my child and I got a little more wisdom to at least kind of. And so part of me, they maybe think I'm doing it for them, but I'm really trying to realize like, because I know I got best interest of my child. Let me see if my child being misguided and I could be, they trust me enough to be like, I'm like, no, let me tell you what I really seen. You may not see that. And so it'll work both ways, but like, I won't be closed-minded. Like, no, I got some people like, I don't believe in that. I ain't dealing with that. I ain't coming nowhere near. Like, for my kids, and it's really close people like my family that I'm close to, I give you a benefit of doubt for me to be like, okay, let me learn, especially if I don't know nothing about it. But other than that, but definitely for my kids, I'll be open like just to hear them out.
As long as they not like Satan, it's not.
That was gonna be my next question.
Whoa.
So,
because y'all, that's what I started thinking. I'm like, hold on, I'm not going to no house of Satan, or I started thinking in that. I'm like, that's the deal breaker for me. Yeah.
Anything that's actively Satan, devil, hell affiliated, that's the cutoff point.
Yeah. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Nah, I'm sorry. I'm trying to be open-minded in a way. I'm like,
can't be so open-minded. Your brain fall out now.
Satan, no.
Spirits are real, man. Spirits are definitely real.
We ain't doing that. No.
All right, y'all. So I see we coming up on time here. So I want to keep it respectful of it. So let's go ahead and transition to some of the closing segments from each of you, because each of you have so much, and because each of you have different perspectives. I don't want a joined three things. I want three from Marquise and three from Brad of things that the audience can think about, meditate on, pray about, and put into action, implementation.
Let me go out the room so I don't hear what he say. Hear what I say. Now you're gonna challenge us to have to come up with three different things. So.
Oh, you could go one, I go one, you go one.
All right, just do it that way then.
Three things. So I mean, first thing, you are the first thing that you can work on actively and you can make better. As I always say, in order for you to put your best foot forward for your family, for your friends, for your profession, you have to take care of you. So I think the first thing you should be doing at yourself is taking a look at yourself and seeing what you can do to improve yourself, whether that is in your health, whether that is for your family, or whether that's your career. Look at you and make some action steps for yourself. Maybe my health, maybe you need to start eating a little better. Maybe you need to start going for walks. Maybe you want to get into the gym a little bit. Maybe you want to spend more time with your kids, start reading to them, or having more intentional time. Maybe that's with your wife or significant other or friends. You're making more time for your friends because you feel like you've been a bad friend. But start with yourself. Start working on yourself and start with actionable steps by asking yourself questions, deep diving questions. Only you know yourself better than anyone else. So ask yourself what's some things that you need to improve on, and let's start there.
Yeah, that's hard.
Okay.
It's hard because the first thing I was gonna just say as black man or just to the audience itself is just health, right? So, but if I could say anything else, to me, I would say give yourself grace. And what I mean by that is like run your own race, but just don't procrastinate, right? And don't feel because someone is farther than you that you're doing less, or, you know what I'm saying, don't, you know, and so I think the biggest thing for me is just, you know what I'm saying, give yourself grace, just don't procrastinate.
Like that.
Love it.
They say the turtle won the race, right? The turtle ran the race. Or won the race. I'm sorry. Getting a little tongue-tied. I guess it's back on me.
Yes, sir.
So let's start community. Let's start there. Let's start there. For instance, what you mentioned the LeBron and Bronny, and it's new with LeBron with Bronny being drafted by the Lakers, but it's caused a lot of hysteria, you know, one way or the other. And I jumped on social media today and I literally said, I'm like, so many people talking about a millionaire, multi-millionaire, being able to play basketball with his son, but they're not even worried about their own communities, their own backyards, what's taking place right when you step outside. And so I ask you, I'm challenging you to step into your community, do something. I'm a big believer in you reap what you sow. And if you're not even putting nothing into the soil in your community, why are you worried about things on the outside that's not even in your household, that's not even on your side of the fence? And I feel like that's what a lot of y'all are doing and not putting that energy. And so you can start by community service, volunteering, doing something within your community that's going to help your community move forward. The simple things. You don't have to have millions of dollars. You don't have to have all the time in the world, but you can start with doing something in your community. So that's it's community. And let's start with community service. Let's start with volunteering. I'm challenging you. Yes, you.
Number two for me.
Real quick, I want to do that. Hey.
Number two for me would be creativity, right? And what I mean by creativity is owning your space. Not every space is for you. Learning, you know what I'm saying, using your past experience, right? You know, so I'm a visionary, and I love to try to help people figure things out. And so one of the biggest things, people, I don't know what I'm going to do or what I want to be and this and that. And I always say, you know what I'm saying, especially when it comes down to being an entrepreneur, you got to be creative, do stuff that you love or stuff that you were tied into, right? And so, you know, look at some of your past trauma, right? And stuff that hurted you that now you're more passionate about, you know what I'm saying? You can find yourself being a good entrepreneur within that space. And so to me, I just be like, own your own space and just be creative. It's the second thing for me.
On that note, have you heard of something called an ikigai?
No.
So I actually this was my episode yesterday. I did a show on purpose. Okay. And it was how to go about finding it. I gave the audience 3 manners. Make sure if you haven't seen it, you go back and watch 7 Pillars, Purpose, Part 2 is the video. It's 1 hour and 41 minutes long. And I literally walked the audience through 3 different exercises you can do. The ikigai is where you have 4 circles and you draw them and you make them overlap. One at the north, one at the west, one at the south, and one at the east. And these things are divided into things that society needs, things that you can get paid for, things that you have a skill for, and then things that you love. And at the center of where all these things intersect, that is your ikigai or your purpose. And this is the thing that fulfills every piece of what you need to be able to do your work, do it long term, love it, get paid for it, and make a difference and an impact on society.
Definitely like that.
Yeah, man. There's a couple other ones, but yeah, that was just, I like that you brought that up.
Okay, yeah. I think with like our first two answers, it kind of gives you a bit of like, see how we think differently and how we kind of form, like, but it works well together. But because he did, I'm gonna kind of, I guess, try to switch gears with my answer.
Okay.
And I think I'm gonna kind of go into what you said, and that's kind of finding your purpose, or what I like to call your superpower. And what I think, I feel like people try to do a deep dive. I'm like, well, I don't know. And I think a lot of times it's not a deep dive. It's really surface level what your superpower is. Your superpower is something that you can do extremely easy. It comes to you very easy. Where a lot of other people might say, how do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you do that? Man, you make that look so easy. That right there. That right there, I feel like that's your superpower. And sometimes it might be other people that know how to do it too. Like, for instance, we watch the NBA. It's a lot of people who are good in basketball. It's a lot of good people who are good in basketball, but that's their superpower. But once you do that, you find your superpower and you tap in. You tap in because that's how you find your purpose. And I feel like once you find your purpose, especially career-wise, if you go that way, you're not working anymore. So I'm challenging you next to find your purpose, and that's by finding your superpowers. Find out what you do easy. What is so easy for you to do that people always compliment you on. They're always like, hey, how do you do that? They ask you to help them with this. That right there is your superpower, and I want you to kind of tap in that a little bit more, dig into that a little bit more, and see where that takes you. That might be their business that they're opening.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? What it was with cleaning. It was so simple to you, right?
Yeah.
You didn't even. It wasn't even like, oh, you just in there. You're like, dang, 6 months straight. I done won. Then you get out. When you get out, you didn't go straight to that. You became the best KFC cook in Florida. But then you're like, you know what? Let me try this, and went back, and it's so easy.
Yeah.
And now you outside at the Orlando Magic Arena cleaning the windows for them and things of that nature with these big contracts. You cleaning up.
That's a crazy
Lake
contract.
Eola for 4th of July. And we know how packed downtown gets 4th of July. And that's you and your team cleaning it up. But it was because it was something that was easy for you to do, right?
Yeah.
Very easy. It wasn't like you always started. You was not talking about cleaning when we was kids. You get what I'm saying? But that was something that you knew how to do very easily. And so find your purpose by finding your superpower. Find out what's easy for you and just tap into it a little bit more and then get back to me.
And I like what you said about that, because like you said, when it comes to like the idea of, as a kid, you probably wasn't like, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna get big and I'm gonna start a cleaning thing. But through what you've done, between it being something that you have the skill set at, and then you have purpose in it, like, and your purpose is that you are employing returning citizens. So now there's something beyond that. Your passion is also in it too, because now you wanna act as a guider and a leader for them as well, and you're getting paid for it. Yep. So even though you may not have had that as a passion as a kid, like, I want to do this, the passion came from the fact that you were able to make an impact in a significant way. And so in a sense, this is your dream job now, because essentially you're in your ikigai right now.
Yep, definitely. If the last thing I would say to me, and the biggest thing that's near to me, is, if any advice I can get the audience, is get registered and vote, and get as many as people in your circle to go vote. If you feel that it's not a reason why you go vote, find a reason to go vote. If you don't like the candidate, just find an issue that's on the ballot that's close to you and just go vote. And so that'll be the biggest thing. Everybody around you need to be registered to vote. It do matter. And if it didn't matter, right, they wouldn't be trying to put all these stumbling blocks in front of us to keep us from voting. And we know that it do work, but they want us to think that it don't. So vote. We did everything for me.
Love it. What a way to finish up there. And now I need to get like a little video that plays of you just like that pops up on the screen for the audience.
Every time we got
maybe have some sunglasses on, you know? That'd be great. So the next piece is, and this can be between the two of y'all, what are any 3 questions that y'all have of me? You may ask it and I will answer it completely honestly.
You go first, because I'd already done shot him up with some questions last time.
Where do you see yourself in the next 3 years? Do you answer it, or do you want to come back?
Yeah, I can answer that real quick. In 3 years, I see myself at finally having this podcast monetized, having the metrics that I need for that to be the case, maybe having my first couple of sponsorships rolling in enough to, pay off a good portion of the bills and whatnot. Probably got at least one kid, if not one and one on the way. I better have at least 1 to 2 students underneath me learning how to do this type of thing, students that are interested in technology and this streaming type of thing and running a show and things like that. I would consider myself something of a failure if I don't have at least one student at that point. And then I see, just continuing to have, in this 30-day streams that I've been doing, I've done more of like group session type of things like this. And I'm really liking this dynamic as well, because if I know at least one of the people, like, so knowing Brad here and then being able to bring on another person, it just allows for more pieces to be able to come out and to have more, whether it's differing opinions or emphasizing on the same point in different ways. So just expanding the show out and allowing for more men to come on at the same time to be able to have even more well-rounded conversations.
Cool.
Okay. I'll ask the second question. Just try to change it up a little bit. Okay. Kids' names. Have you planned that out yet?
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay. So let me know if you have a boy. What's the name? If you have a girl. I know we talked about not having a girl, but if you have a girl. And because you want multiple kids, if you have multiple boy names as well. Like you have a junior, and then after junior.
Oh, snap.
You get what I'm saying?
Man, I've only planned out the first boy's name right now. So, and his name would be Koryoku.
Okay. And what? You gotta break it down and tell us what that means. Come on, you guys.
Word, because I don't think nobody else would be named that. So, and here's the origin of it. So, it would be spelled Korioku. So, the way that it came up is my father's name is Corey.
Okay.
But he's already got a junior. I'm not gonna do the whole like Corey the third type of thing. Plus, it would have to come from the actual junior, not another. So. This is my little homage to him. And then as a child, one of my favorite heroes' names was Goku.
Okay.
But I couldn't get that past my wife.
She gonna see this?
We spilling secrets right now.
They're gonna have 2 names.
I've never actually explained the name to anybody. So
Nah, I like it. I thought it was I thought it was a different language and it meant something in a different language. You said that Koryoku. I'm like, oh, okay.
It's got a little sizzle to it, right?
Is that Japanese?
Right? It definitely could.
I thought it was a
be.
Hawaiian name or something.
It could pass for that too. I know a lot of Hawaiian people are Japanese, yeah?
Yeah.
And then for a girl's name, it would be, so this one actually does have meaning to it. So, and as you know, so Marquise, I was absolutely not having a girl. If I did have a girl, I was going to pass her along to the most trusted friend that I had in my church community. I was that serious, bro. And if it was 4 girls, I was looking for 4 sets of friends.
Look, see,
You're gonna have to pray on that, man.
hey, last guy, he by himself. That ain't me doing that. He dead serious.
Oh yeah, my wife, no. It's her least favorite thing that I tell people in public. However, I will say, we were having a conversation and there's been a word that has stuck out to me for as long as I've been a Christian growing in my faith. And it is the idea of what God made a woman to be, a helper, but not just a helper, helpmate. Specifically in the Hebrew, the word that is used to describe woman is azer.
Azer.
Azer means a divine helper. And we see this used when referring to woman, but also when referring to the Father himself and when referring to the Holy Spirit. So this is a word that carries a significant divine power.
Definitely.
So I said, if I can name my daughter Azar, I will have no problem having a daughter. And then her middle name would be Imani, which Imani means faith. So it would be divine helper of faith.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I like
So I have accepted it, my man.
that. Okay. You went deep with it, too.
What was crazy too is that after this acceptance, I was like with a class in elementary, and I met a little girl named Azar.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, holy smokes. This was literally like maybe a week or two after my acceptance of it. And I'm still, like feeling it out.
Sound like
And I meet
God
the
talking to
little
him.
girl. I've never met another. I've gone to so many schools, lived in all different kinds of Florida and Vegas and Tennessee. I have never met someone by the name of Azar.
Me neither.
The first child gonna be a girl. First child gonna be a girl. All right, last question for me is, what is one thing on your bucket list that you know for a fact that you gonna work your hardest to make happen?
Oh man, 2025, going to Japan. Yes, sir.
wow.
Yes, sir. 100%.
Clear. They were like that one.
You going to Japan?
You
Okay.
just took that one.
Yeah, man.
He got the
What?
flight already
Yeah,
booked.
he knew that one.
2 weeks planned out. Okay,
Oh,
we
yeah.
spending 5 digits there. You know what I'm saying? We about to do it up.
It's worth it.
We are doing it up.
I believe it too. I'm a big believer in manifestation in the way you can see it. I'm a person, if you can, the more clear you can see it in your head, that means the closer you are to actually grasping it or whatnot. You just got to fill out those little details, and that's what helps you see it more clear. But you already saying the 2 weeks, how much you gonna spend? Oh yeah, it's coming. You said
Yes,
a year.
sir.
You said 20, bro. I'm telling you, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah,
You're
man.
manifesting.
Hey, we was already talking about it with the financial planner. He's like, you know what? You guys are actually on track, and you'll probably be a little bit ahead. I'm like, yes, let's go.
For real.
Short of a tragedy is happening. And then what are we at? Oh, look at that. We're coming right up on perfect time in here. So, gentlemen, at this point, this is the last segment here, and this is the prayer segment. So I would like to know, what is something that, for each of you, something that you would either like to confess here on the show, something that you have been struggling with or are struggling with newly, or something that you want to give a praise to God about. You may name anything, and I and the audience will come around you both in prayer.
Okay, I'll go first. I think for me, the is one of my favorite Bible verses that, you know what I'm saying, that, and so to me this is gonna be giving praise. But one, I think I need prayer every day, right? Just to be transparent, I want prayer every day as much as I could. But I think the biggest thing for me is in the Bible, I just want to thank God for staying true to His word. Is the prayer coming that all good all things work out for the good of those who love and trust God, and I'm a firm believer and witness of that. You know what I'm saying? Despite when I don't know how it's gonna work out, but me just being true and having true character and integrity. Even when I can't see it, He found a way. It works out, whether I like it or not. But it works out, and I trust His judgment. So I definitely just thank God for being the God He is.
Awesome. Love it. Love it.
I guess for me, with you giving praise, I guess I do the opposite. What is it? Habakkuk? What they say? Make a plan, write it down. What they say?
Oh, I know exactly what I forget what the whole package of it is, but
And so I feel like preparation beats any complications. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And so I want to pray for like staying focused and preparing myself for what's to come next.
And in spirit with what you said, there was a verse that I had when it came to purpose, and it said that for he who is diligent, God will make firm his steps. So, it was that plus he who is diligent will be led to abundance. So it was something to that effect. I'll find it and send it to you. But absolutely, man. So for Marquise, we have just a praise for God and staying true to His word. And for yourself, it was, and restate it clearly for me again.
So basically, staying focused so I could be prepared for what's to come next. So, like I said, what they say, make a plan, write it down.
Yes, sir. Write your vision on a tablet. He who does not have a vision shall perish. Mm-hmm. All right. So at this time, audience, please join me in prayer for our mans Marquis and Brad. All right. So, dear Lord and Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time here on this Friday that we were finally able to make this joining of men happen today, Lord. This has been something I've been excited about for a month, maybe more at this point, and we're just blessed and honored that we've each had the time to be able to sit down for this 2 hours to make this happen, God. So we give you all the glory in that. We want to lift up Marquis at this time, Lord, and we just want to look at him and see how his story glorifies you so much, Lord. You have proven yourself to be a God who is true and faithful to his promises. You allowed for someone to have redemption even when they were at a place where they chose to do things that maybe they did or didn't know were against you, but who decided to make a true change of life. And you honored them in that. And now this person is able to work for the good and give benefits to literally millions of people. And so we thank you for that, God. Next, Lord, we want to lift up our brother Bradley as he is looking to just stay focused and to get his plans in order. We hope that you will just keep his mind focused and sharp on what the aim is, that you will help him in figuring a plan, and that he will be sensitive to the call that you have in his path and on his heart, and that he can lean into that with full acceptance and full joy. For we know you make firm the steps of those who delight in you. So we pray that he can find his delight in all the things that you call him to, whether it's the community work, it's time with his daughters, it's time mentoring, or it's time just getting closer with you, Lord. We thank you, God, for blessing each of us with all of the things we have, from the healthy family to the good relationships to the reputations that we've been blessed to be known for. We pray for the audience that this was something that was able to be edifying to them, something that was able to show them and encourage them that no matter what the past looks like, you can move forward from that and you can shine incredibly bright from that. You can serve a purpose so much greater than the struggle that you're going through, Lord. We pray that they would be blessed and that everyone would be able to have a good and a safe weekend as they recover and rest from this incredibly long week that each of us are coming off of. We thank you, God, and we give you all this honor and praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Yeah.
You guys, thank you so much for joining here. Couldn't have asked for a better Friday episode. And I am so excited now to be able to say that we have had on the Marquis McKenzie and the Brad Lee Dorvalis. So make sure, come back in here, replay your favorite parts. I'll definitely be hitting it up on some of here. And remember, fatherhood is the best hood, and a thug ain't just a thug. A thug is a teen hidden under God's spirit. So with that, I bid you all a great weekend. Be safe, and we'll see you next time on Saturday's episode of the Inspired Challenge Podcast. Take care, everyone. And we are closed.
It's a wrap.
Good stuff, fellas.
Yes, sir.
Woo-wee.